Hello again. Some comments on this channel have been urging us to support a political group called the Patriotic Alternative, which is determined firstly to draw attention to the fact that if current trends continue, white people will be a minority in Britain within 40 years, and secondly, to take firm action immediately to prevent this state of affairs from arising. This is, of course, not the first time that a political party in Britain has been dedicated to halting immigration. Oswald Mosely's union movement fought for a seat in London on this issue in the 1959 general election. They gained 8% of the vote, which is about the best that any anti-immigration candidate has managed to get since the end of the Second World War. It was just about matched by the National Front in the two elections, general elections held in 1974, when candidates got about 8%, both at Tottenham and Wood Green in the London borough of Haringey. The National Front fought many seats that year on an explicitly anti-immigration platform, and overall they got about 5% of the vote. If we had proportional representation in this country at that time, this might have equated to 30 National Front MPs. There's a thought. The British National Party did fairly well at times in local elections, getting a few councillors around in places like Epping Forest, but they didn't last. Since then, we've seen the English Defence League and English Democrats and now the Patriotic Alliance. The truth is, people in Britain do not like maverick political parties of any hue, whether left or right. They will not vote for communists or those who are vociferous in their opposition to immigration. What they prefer is a simple choice between two political parties, neither of whom offer radical differences in their policies from each other. I was looking lately at this book, which, believe it or not, when it was published, was a school book. It's got masses of information inside it, including the detailed results of every election held in Britain between 1832 and 1979. And this confirms what I've always thought. In the 19th century, the British liked to choose between the Tories and the Liberals, and today they only want either the Labour Party or the Conservatives. In Scotland and Wales, of course, the position is a little different, but in England we've never wanted any third party. Only 5 communists have ever been elected in Britain in the course of the last century, and no fascists at all. It's a long while since we've had a communist MP, by the way, 70 years or so. When the Social Democrats appeared in the early 1980s, everybody talked of breaking the mould of British politics, but that came to nothing. The Liberal revival in 2010 went the same way. There is something very reassuring to most people about the present political setup. There are not going to be any unpleasant surprises or dramatic changes, no matter who they vote for or what the outcome of a general election is. Both parties wanted to stay in Europe. Both are committed to large-scale immigration. Both are determined to keep taxes high. Neither wants to reform the NHS. Both sang from the same song sheet during the COVID business, although both leaders knew it was nonsense, which is why they attended social gatherings without any fear. Whichever way you vote at a general election, things are going to carry on much as before, which does rather seem to be the way that the British, and particularly the English, like it. Neither of the two main parties wants to see proportional representation, because that would upset the apple cart, which of course is why when there was a referendum a few years ago about ditching the first past the post voting system, the proposed alternative was made so complicated that most people couldn't understand it, and so they voted to stick with what they did understand. I'm saying nothing about the possible merits of the patriotic alternative, you understand, and neither am I criticising it. Rather, I am explaining why it will not come to anything in the long run. Ordinary people don't want change. They just want society to muddle along in the same way that it has done all their lives, and they don't want to see the boat rocked. This may or may not be a good thing, but it is certainly how the vast majority of people feel as they demonstrate each election.